Imagine standing on the banks of the Mississippi River more than 1,000 years ago. The air is heavy with the scent of fertile soil and the hum of cicadas. Before you stretches not wilderness, but a city of earth and vision. Towering mounds rise from the ground, carefully shaped by human hands. The largest of them all, a massive pyramid of soil and clay, dominates the horizon, dwarfing the wooden homes clustered below. At its feet, marketplaces spill with color and sound, traders calling out their goods, baskets of maize and beans piled high, shells and copper glinting in the sunlight. This was Cahokia, a city so vast it rivaled medieval London, with tens of thousands of people moving through plazas and neighborhoods. From a distance, smoke rises in plumes from countless hearts. Roads stretch outward in straight lines, connecting the heart of the metropolis to the lands beyond. And yet, despite its size, its complexity, and its power, Cahokia is largely forgotten today, its story buried in the soil it once shaped. Before there were cities of glass and steel, there was Cahokia, the story of America's first great city, built long before America itself existed. By the 10th century, the Mississippi River Valley was alive with possibility. Along its fertile floodplains, small indigenous communities farmed the land, planting maize, beans, and squash, the lifeblood of early North American civilization. Families fished the river's shimmering waters and hunted in the forests that stretched endlessly to the horizon. Over generations, these scattered settlements began to unite, drawn together by trade, shared ceremonies, and the promise of abundance. Slowly, villages grew into towns, and one of those towns would become something extraordinary. Around the year 1050, a transformation began. Builders reshaped the very earth beneath their feet, raising monumental mounds that reached for the sky. Fields gave way to plazas, and narrow footpaths widened into grand causeways. A skyline emerged, not of stone or metal, but of soil, sweat, and vision. By the 12th century, Cahokia stood as the beating heart of a vast network that stretched from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Archaeologists estimate that between 20 and 40,000 people lived here, more than in London at the same time. It was a city of ambition, born not from conquest, but from ingenuity and belief. And yet, its rise was so rapid, so mysterious, that even today, we struggle to understand how such a place came to be in a land many believed was untouched by civilization. At the very heart of Cahokia rose an astonishing sight, Monk's Mound, the largest earthen structure ever built in North America. Imagine a four-terraced pyramid of packed earth, soaring over 100 feet high, its slopes carved by generations of hands wielding woven baskets of soil. At the summit stood a grand wooden temple, gleaming in the morning light, the seat of spiritual and political power. Smoke from sacred fires curled into the sky, visible for miles across the valley. Below, vast open plazas stretched outward like the veins of the city. Families tended cooking fires, traders arranged their wares, and children chased each other across the dusty squares. Every structure, from the homes to the temples, followed a plan. Streets aligned with the sun's path, Buildings faced the cardinal directions. Cahokia wasn't chaos. It was geometry. It was vision, a city designed to echo the cosmos itself. Life in Cahokia was not a uniform blur of activity. It was a chorus of tasks, trades, and small dramas. Dawn began with the same rhythm everywhere. Women kneeling at stone grinding slabs, beating kernels of maize into flour that would feed 1,000 mouths. Men pushing dugout canoes onto the river, nets taut against the morning light. Children darted between houses, their laughter braided with the call of market traders. Agriculture was the city's backbone. Maize grew in long furrows. Beans twined the stalks, and squash spread low, conserving moisture. The work looked simple from a distance, but it demanded planning and knowledge. When to plant, how to rotate fields, how to move water through small channels so crops would survive a fickle season. These were practices refined over generations. Pottery and craft tied communities together. In cool, shaded workshops, hands rolled coils of clay, smooth rims with wooden paddles, and impressed simple geometric stamps. Fired near open pits, the pottery that came from Cahokia carried both utility and identity. Cooking pots, storage vessels, and finely made ceremonial bowls. Nearby, metalworkers hammered cold-worked copper into thin ornaments. Shell beads were drilled and strung into necklaces that told stories of trade routes and distant seas. The marketplace was not chaos. It was organized exchange. Stalls sat in ordered lines, goods grouped by material and origin. A copper plate from the Great Lakes might rest beside a string of Gulf shells and a basket of smoked fish. That arrangement didn't happen by chance. Streets and neighborhoods were planned. Causeways led to plazas, homes faced communal spaces, and public posts marked boundaries. The city's plan was a map of cooperation. People depended on one another, and every lane, every plaza, every mound helped them do so. To understand Cahokia, you have to look beyond the earth and into the sky. Religion was the pulse of the city. Every sunrise, every rainfall, every harvest carried divine meaning. The people of Cahokia worshipped the forces that sustained them, the life-giving sun, the rivers that fed their crops, and the earth that cradled their mounds. At the summit of Monk's Mound, rituals unfolded that united thousands. There, the city's leaders stood not just as rulers, but as living bridges between people and gods. Dressed in feathers and copper ornaments, they offered gifts of food, shells, and fire to honor the sun's return each day. The plaza below would fill with onlookers, families, farmers, artisans, all watching as smoke rose from sacred fires, curling toward the heavens. Drums echoed across the city, carrying the rhythm of belief through every street. For the Cahokians, faith was never separate from power. The same leaders who prayed for rainfall also commanded the building of mounds, directed trade, and enforced order. Religion gave them divine authority, and the people found purpose in serving a world shaped by gods and guided by their chosen messengers. Cahokia was more than a city. It was an engineered masterpiece.
The planners and builders of this civilization understood the rhythms of nature and built their world around them. They designed vast water systems, reservoirs dug deep into the earth, connected by channels that carried fresh rainwater throughout the settlement. This mastery of water control ensured survival during floods and droughts alike, long before modern irrigation ever existed in North America. Beneath the blazing sun, wide, packed earth roads stretched outward like arteries, linking neighborhoods, temples, and far-off trade routes. Along these paths, traders carried shells from the Gulf, obsidian from the Rockies, and copper from the Great Lakes, proof that Cahokia was part of a continent-spanning network. But perhaps the most striking creation stood in a circular clearing west of Monk's Mound, a ring of towering wooden posts known today as Woodhenge. It served as both a calendar and a ceremonial space. As the sun rose on solstices, its light cut perfectly between the posts, marking the changing seasons and guiding the rituals of the people. Each beam of light that touched the mound tied heaven and earth together, science and spirit, knowledge and faith, all in harmony. As the 13th century unfolded, subtle shifts began to ripple through Cahokia. Seasons grew unpredictable. Floods would strike one year, only to be followed by years of punishing drought. The lush fields that once sustained tens of thousands began to falter, and the great plazas, once alive with celebration and trade, started to fall eerily silent. Forests surrounding the city thinned as wood was stripped for building and fuel. The once orderly mounds and roads began to crumble at their edges, their surfaces scarred by time and neglect. Within the city's neighborhoods, signs of unrest stirred. As resources dwindled, old alliances may have fractured, and power structures that had bound the city together began to unravel. By the end of the century, many homes lay empty. The fires in the temple atop Monk's Mound burned dimmer each season, until one day, they simply went out. Nature reclaimed what humanity had built, leaving behind only the vast mounds as silent witnesses to a vanished world. Though Cahokia's people were gone, their earthworks endured, silent markers of a civilization too advanced to be forgotten. Centuries later, their story would rise again from the soil, revealing the true depth of America's ancient past. Today, the remnants of Cahokia rise quietly from the plains of southern Illinois, vast grass-covered mounds surrounded by forests and the slow bend of the Mississippi River. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Cahokia Mounds stands as one of the most important archaeological treasures in North America. Archaeologists have spent decades uncovering clues buried beneath its soil. The remnants of homes, tools, ceremonial objects, and the traces of a sophisticated city that once pulsed with life. Each discovery brings the people of Cahokia closer to our collective memory, revealing a civilization of architects, astronomers, and visionaries. Visitors who walk the grounds today can stand atop Monk's Mound, gazing out across the same horizon where thousands once gathered to worship the sun. The earth beneath their feet still carries the shape of ancient hands that built it, one basket of soil at a time.
Cahokia's legacy endures, not only in its mounds, but in the living cultures of Native American descendants who continue to honor the spirit of their ancestors.
What was once forgotten now serves as a bridge between past and present, a reminder that North America's first cities were built long before the modern world took shape.
In the quiet rise of Cahokia's mounds, we're reminded that greatness doesn't vanish. It waits to be remembered. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos.